The price of mercy. The Kelthid warships descended through New Eden's atmosphere like metal thunderheads, their obsidian hulls reflecting the orange glow of fires already burning across the colony's capital city. Commander Sarah Chen watched from the Planetary Defense Headquarters as civilian evacuation ships struggled to break orbit, each carrying thousands of desperate refugees. Status on the shield array, she demanded, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding on the tactical displays. Operating at 87% capacity, Commander, Lieutenant Park reported. It's holding for now, but the Kelthid are probing for weaknesses. They're targeting specifically civilian sectors. Of course they were. The Kelthid Empire had spent the last decade studying humanity's behaviors and patterns. They knew exactly where to strike to cause the most pain, to force the most difficult choices. They understood that humans would prioritize protecting civilian lives over military assets. What they didn't understand was why. The massive alien dreadnought hanging in low-orbit shifted position, its weapon ports glowing with building energy. Sarah's tactical training screamed at her to redirect shield power to protect the military command center. The logical choice, the strategic choice. Instead, she gave the order that every human commander before her had given when faced with such decisions. Divert additional power to civilian sectors. Priority on medical centers and evacuation zones. Commander, Park protested, if we lose the command center, then we lose it protecting our people. Sarah cut him off. That's what we do. That's who we are. The Kelthid attack that followed was devastating but precise. They had learned from previous encounters that humans would sacrifice tactical advantage to save civilian lives. They had watched humanity build bridges instead of weapons, hospitals instead of fortresses. They had observed as humans extended diplomatic hands to species that had initially attacked them, offering trade and cultural exchange where others would have demanded submission. And they had mistaken all of it for weakness. The shield held over the civilian sectors as the command center took the brunt of the assault. Emergency systems whined in protest as structural integrity dropped to critical levels. Sarah coordinated the evacuation response from a backup terminal, watching as the last refugee ships climbed towards the stars. Final civilian transport clearing atmosphere, Park reported. But Commander, the Kelthid are pursuing. Sarah's hands clenched into fists. This was the moment she had dreaded since the attack began. The moment when humanity's philosophy of peace and cooperation would be tested against the harsh reality of survival. The Kelthid ambassador sends a message, her communications officer announced. They say this is the price of mercy. That a species so concerned with saving every life will never have the strength to survive in this galaxy. Sarah thought of all the times humanity had chosen the harder path, the times they had negotiated instead of fought, healed instead of harmed, built instead of destroyed. She thought of the countless alien species who had sneered at these choices, seeing only weakness in humanity's compassion. Send a reply, she said quietly. Tell them they're right. Mercy does have a price. She entered her command codes, authorizing the activation of systems that had remained dormant since humanity first reached the stars. Systems they had hoped never to use, developed not out of aggression, but out of the understanding that true peace must sometimes be defended. And we've always been willing to pay it. Across New Eden's surface, hidden installations hummed to life. Beneath peaceful cities and hospitals, beneath schools and cultural centers, humanity's contingency plans awakened. The Kelthid ships pursuing the refugee transports suddenly found their sensors scrambled, their weapons systems failing, their engines fighting against invisible forces that twisted space itself. This was humanity's true strength, not the ability to destroy, but the wisdom to prepare for it, not the desire for war, but the resolve to end it when necessary. They had built their weapons alongside their hospitals, their shields alongside their bridges, always hoping that compassion would prevail but ready for the moment it might not. As the Kelthid fleet fell into chaos, Sarah sent one final message to her superiors on Earth, 3 words that would mark the beginning of a new chapter in human history. they never learned. The galaxy was about to discover why humanity's dedication to peace was not a sign of weakness, but the greatest proof of their strength. They had chosen peace because they understood war. They had chosen mercy because they knew the price of vengeance. And now, forced to fight, they would demonstrate why the most dangerous opponent is not the one who loves war, but the one who has spent generations doing everything possible to avoid it. The price of mercy had come due, and humanity would pay it in full. Lines in the sand. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy as reports of the New Eden conflict spread. Ambassador Trell of the Varex Confederation, his crystalline form refracting light across the chamber, addressed his peers with growing concern. The humans have deployed technologies we never knew existed. The Kelthid fleet's most advanced systems were rendered useless within minutes. We must consider intervention before this escalates further. High Commander Zextar of the Kelthid Empire rose, his chitinous armor clicking as he moved. Your concern is noted, but unnecessary. This is merely the desperate flailing of a dying species. Our main fleet approaches Earth itself. They will learn their place. In orbit around Mars, Fleet Admiral Maya Rodriguez watched the Kelthid Armada approach on long-range sensors. 300 warships, the pride of their empire, moved with predatory grace through the solar system. They expected to find a weakened humanity, a civilization that had spent its resources on medical ships and refugee centers instead of weapons of war. They were about to learn why humans built hospitals first. All stations report ready, Admiral, her XO announced. The civilian populations have been evacuated to the deep shelters, waiting on your command. Maya thought of her grandmother, who had helped design the Mars colony's hydroponic systems, of her father, who had spent his life developing more efficient water recycling for desert worlds, of all the humans who had dedicated themselves to creation rather than destruction. The Kelthid had seen only the surface of these works, never understanding the depths of human ingenuity that lay beneath. Signal the fleet, she ordered. Initiative Prometheus is authorized. Across the solar system, humanity's true capabilities revealed themselves. The agricultural domes of Mars split open like blooming flowers, revealing artillery platforms that had waited decades for this moment. The water recycling centers of Europa discharged clouds of microscopic drones, each carrying technologies that had been theorized but never deployed. The medical research stations of Titan unveiled weapon systems that had been developed and then hidden away, protected by the very reputation for peace that made others underestimate humanity. The Kelthid fleet found itself trapped in a web of gravitational distortions, their ship's hulls weakening as targeted frequencies disrupted their molecular bonds. Swarms of nanites originally designed for cellular repair now demonstrated their capacity for deconstruction. The pride of the Kelthid Empire began to crumble. Back in the council chamber, the alien representatives watched in stunned silence as footage of the battle played out. They saw human ships, previously thought to be simple medical vessels, transform into combat platforms more advanced than anything known to exist. They'd witnessed defensive systems that seemed to defy the laws of physics themselves. Impossible, Zextar whispered, his mandibles twitching. They were peaceful, weak. We studied them for decades. Ambassador Chen, who had replaced Sarah after the New Eden attack, stepped forward. You studied what we chose to show you. You saw our hospitals and assumed we knew nothing of war. You saw our aid ships and thought we couldn't fight. You never asked why a species that had mastered faster-than-light travel, that had colonized dozens of worlds, chose to focus on healing instead of hurting. The battle for the solar system lasted less than 6 hours. When it ended, the Kelthid fleet was reduced to drifting debris, their weapons and armor rendered useless by technologies they hadn't known existed. Not a single human ship was lost. Maya looked out at the aftermath, her heart heavy despite the victory. Send medical ships to recover any Kelthid survivors, she ordered. Full treatment protocols, just like we do for our own. Her XO nodded, understanding. Even now, even after everything, humanity would not abandon its principles. They would demonstrate why they chose peace not from weakness, but from the wisdom of knowing exactly what they were capable of in war. As rescue operations began, the Galactic Council received a simple message from Earth. We chose peace because we excelled at war. Remember that the next time you mistake compassion for weakness. The lines had been drawn. Humanity had shown a glimpse of what lay beneath their peaceful exterior. And across the galaxy, species that had once dismissed them as soft began to understand that humanity's greatest strength was not in the weapons they had hidden, but in their determination to never need them. The quiet ones. Dr. Elena Santos stood in the heart of Jupiter's Forge, humanity's most closely guarded research facility, watching as antimatter containment systems powered up. For generations, humans had channeled their warrior instincts into science and innovation, building weapons they prayed would never be needed. Today, they were needed. All subsystems online, her assistant reported. The Kelthid have launched attacks on 3 more colony worlds. They're targeting civilian populations, trying to force our hand. Elena nodded grimly. They still think we'll break. Initialize Project Prometheus. Deep within gas giant research stations, quantum computers that had been disguised as atmospheric processors revealed their true purpose. The Kelthid had sneered at humanity's focus on medical research, never realizing that understanding how to heal cells meant also knowing exactly how to unmake them. Admiral Chen, commanding the defense of the Proxima colonies, watched as the first wave of humanity's hidden fleet emerged from quantum slit space. Ships that had been masked as research vessels, hospital ships, and cargo haulers transformed, revealing weapon systems that had been theorized but never before deployed. The Kelthid fleet is adjusting course, her tactical officer reported. They're retreating. Too late, Chen replied softly. They forced this. Now they'll understand. The battle that followed would be studied for generations. Human ships moved with impossible precision, their crews augmented by neural interfaces that had been developed for medical procedures. Defensive screens based on cellular repair technology proved impenetrable to conventional weapons. And at the heart of it all, the quantum technologies humanity had hidden beneath a veneer of peaceful research demonstrated why understanding creation was the key to unmatched destruction. In the Galactic Council, alien representatives watched in horror as footage of the battle spread. They saw Kelthid warships dissolve under precisely targeted antimatter streams, their crews recovered moments later by human medical ships. They witnessed battles won not through brute force, but through an understanding of physics and biology so advanced it seemed like magic. We should have known, Ambassador Krill of the Mentori whispered. A species that could turn dead worlds green, that could heal injuries we thought fatal. We should have known what that knowledge could do in war. The Kelthid Empire's response was as predictable as it was futile. They launched their doomsday weapons, biological and chemical agents they believed would devastate human worlds. Instead, they watched as human medical technology, refined over generations of peaceful research, neutralized their weapons in minutes. In orbit around Jupiter, Elena received the reports with a heavy heart. Deploy the healing swarms, she ordered. Show them why we chose to be healers first. Clouds of nanites, originally designed for environmental restoration, swept through Kelthid ships and bases. But instead of destroying, they healed. Injured Kelthid warriors found their wounds mending. Damaged systems repaired themselves. It was the ultimate demonstration of humanity's philosophy. The power to destroy used instead to restore. The message was clear. Humanity had not pursued peace out of weakness, but out of wisdom. They had developed the power to unmake worlds and chosen instead to heal them. They had mastered the sciences of destruction and dedicated themselves to creation. As the Kelthid Empire's forces crumbled, not under devastating attacks, but under the weight of humanity's capacity for both healing and harm, a new understanding spread through the galaxy. The quiet ones, the peaceful ones, the species that built hospitals instead of warships, they had been the most dangerous all along. Because they had never needed to prove their strength. They had simply hoped they would never have to use it. Thunder of giants. The Kelthid High Command received humanity's terms of surrender with disbelief, not because the terms were harsh, but because they were merciful. Full medical aid for all affected worlds, technology sharing for environmental restoration, cultural exchange programs. Supreme Commander Kurex read the terms aloud, mandibles twitching. They'd break our fleets, reveal technologies beyond our comprehension, and offer to help us rebuild. Earth's quantum arrays had detected the Kelthid's desperate final gambit. A massive fleet gathered in secret, preparing to strike at Earth itself. But humanity's response shocked the galaxy yet again. Fleet Admiral Zhang's message to the Kelthid force was simple. Your wounded will be treated. Your ships will be repaired. Come in peace, or don't come at all. The Kelthid fleet arrived expecting a trap. Instead, they found human medical ships waiting. Their commanders were invited to Earth, not as prisoners, but as guests. They toured hospitals where their injured were being treated alongside humans, saw their damaged ships being restored by the same technology that could have destroyed them. In the Galactic Council, species that had dismissed humanity as weak now scrambled to understand. They watched as humans demonstrated why true strength lay not in the ability to destroy, but in the choice not to. We could unmake your empire, Ambassador Chen explained to the Kelthid delegation. Instead, we'll help you rebuild it. Better, wiser, because that's who we are. That's who we've always been. The quantum fields around Earth rippled as humanity's full defense grid activated, not to attack, but to protect the Kelthid ships from their own desperate commanders, who still couldn't accept the truth. They witnessed human technology redirect plasma torpedoes into harmless energy, watched nuclear warheads transform into bursts of light. Your weapons cannot harm us, Chen continued. They never could. We let you believe they might because we hoped it would never matter. We built defenses you couldn't imagine because we never wanted to show you our weapons. Across conquered Kelthid worlds, human medical ships descended. Nanite swarms repaired battle damage while quantum field generators restored ruined ecosystems. The empire that had tried to break humanity now watched in stunned silence as humans demonstrated why they had chosen to be healers first. Your mistake, Admiral Zhang told the surrendered Kelthid fleet commanders, was thinking that a species had to choose between strength and compassion. We chose both. We mastered war so thoroughly that we could afford to love peace. The thunder of giants was not in the sound of battles, but in the quiet horror of realization spreading through the galaxy. Humanity had never been weak. They had been waiting, watching, hoping they would never need to reveal what lurked beneath their peaceful exterior. They had created technologies that could unmake worlds, then used them to heal instead. They had mastered the arts of war so completely that they could afford to practice peace. And now, in victory, they chose mercy. Not because they had to, but because they could. Because that was who they had always been. Echoes of warning. A year after the Kelthid surrender, the Galactic Council convened for what would become known as the Day of Understanding. Representatives from every major species gathered to witness humanity's legacy. The once mighty Kelthid Empire had transformed. Their worlds flourished with human medical technology. Their warriors trained alongside human peacekeepers. Where conquest had failed, cooperation had built something greater. Admiral Chen, now Earth's primary representative, addressed the council. We hid our strength not out of deception, but hope. Every weapon we created was matched by a tool for healing. Every advance in war was balanced by an advance in peace. We chose this path because we understood power's true cost. The council chamber's displays showed transformed Kelthid worlds. Wastelands bloomed with life. Broken cities rose renewed, not conquered, but healed. You saw our hospitals and thought us weak, our aid ships and assumed vulnerability. You never asked why a species that could split atoms chose to use that knowledge to power homes instead of weapons. Why those who could create antimatter used it to fuel exploration rather than destruction. Quantum screens revealed humanity's hidden achievements. Planetary shields that could withstand supernovas. engines that could move worlds, technologies that could reshape reality itself. We built these things not because we wanted to use them, but because we understood that true peace comes from strength restrained, not strength displayed. We chose mercy not from weakness, but from the wisdom of knowing exactly what the alternative would cost. The Kelphid Supreme Commander, standing beside Chen, addressed his former enemies. They could have destroyed us. Instead, they showed us why creation matters more than destruction, why healing surpasses harming. As the council session ended, humanity's message echoed across the galaxy. Peace was not the absence of strength, but its greatest expression. The species that chose not to bare their teeth were often the ones with the sharpest bite. The day humanity reached its breaking point became the day the galaxy learned why the quiet ones, the peaceful ones, the ones who built bridges instead of walls, were the ones to fear most, because they had mastered themselves before mastering others. And that was the greatest power of all.